From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Afternoon Edition.
Right now on the Afternoon Edition, a South Bay Water Agency marking a milestone in the work to prevent a repeat of flooding like this. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. I'm Ann Magovic, and new at noon, Santa Clara County leaders announcing they are nearing completion of the first phase of a project to protect Coyote Creek from devastating floods. The announcement comes a day before the 8th anniversary of the 2017 flooding in San Jose. Just take a look at some of these pictures. It really was devastating. It was a 20-year flood event, causing nearly $100 million in damage and forcing 14,000 people near the Coyote Creek area out of their homes. Now, Valley Water says phase one of its flood protection project is nearly finished. That includes the construction of over 8,500 feet of flood walls along a 4-mile stretch of the creek between Old Oakland Road and Interstate 280.
The community members have been very supportive of the project. They've been thinking it's a long time coming, right? The flows that they saw in 2017 are not a atypical event. It's about 20 years, every 20 years or so. There are many community members here who are breathing a little bit of a sigh of relief that this project is completing, and they're getting the protection that they've sought for a long time.
Phase two of the project will extend from Montague Expressway to Tully Road. That is set to begin in mid-2026. Once completed, the project is expected to protect 600 homes and businesses along Coyote Creek. First alert weather now, no showers in sight. So we take a live look outside at the Bay Bridge. Meteorologist Jessica Birch looking at our mild weather and even a warm-up coming.
Blue skies and warm temperatures on the way for us as we head into the rest of this week and all the way into our weekend forecast too. Taking a look at our daytime highs today, we're already up to the upper 60s in areas like Petaluma, all the way over into Santa Rosa, off into the East Bay and down into the Santa Clara Valley. Of course, the exception is the coast. We're a little bit cooler today near Half Moon Bay at 61 degrees, but it's a beautiful day to get out there and get some fresh air. A little bit breezy as we head into the afternoon hours, but besides that, we are in for a treat when it comes to the next 7 days. I want to show you, just diving straight into this, the inland forecast. We warm up into the 70s as early as Saturday and Sunday with some partly cloudy skies in the forecast for us. And just when you think that we're heading into next week and things are going to change, no, we're going to hold on tight to the 70s even longer with more sunshine as we head into next week. Now, that's not the case along the bay necessarily. We'll hold on tight to the upper 60s for the time being, but we also get that midweek warm up where we will hit the 70s as early as next Wednesday. More on that coming up in a bit.
San Francisco's iconic Presidio landmark is in the crosshairs of cuts by the Trump administration. President Trump has signed an executive order to slash the Presidio Trust. That is the federal agency established by Congress in 1996 that manages that historic park that once served as a military post. Trump's executive order says the trust is unnecessary and calls for cutting all federal funding to the trust that is not legally necessary. We heard from one local who spoke about the importance of the Presidio to the city.
My thought is if you're visiting San Francisco, one of the first places you want to come is the Presidio, and one of the first places you want to stay is actually at the Presidio.
The Presidio Trust sent us a statement saying it will submit a report to the Office of Management and Budget in 2 weeks as required, but says it is confident its operations are compliant with the law. And former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who helped establish the trust, said her office is carefully reviewing the language of the president's executive order and its purpose. Our chopper flew over the Speaker Nancy Pelosi Federal Building in San Francisco this morning because this could be the next target in President Trump's attempts to shrink the federal government. According to the Chronicle, federal audit identified it as one of the non-core buildings marked for potential sale. The Trump administration is hoping to sell off more than 500 federally owned buildings in the U.S. In the midst of tax filing season, CBS News has learned thousands of IRS employees will be laid off by the end of this week. An internal memo obtained by CBS News also shows that more than half of those affected will likely be new hires with probationary status. The IRS is the latest federal agency hit by aggressive federal workforce cuts by the Trump administration and Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency office. Musk and Trump claim that the cuts will save the government $1 trillion by the time they are done. And the president says he's considering a plan to give 20% of those savings back to Americans. But the president has not said when such payments would happen or how much money each person could potentially get. DOJ claims it already has saved $55 billion with the cuts, but Musk's team has not provided concrete evidence. North Bay wineries say that these federal layoffs could impact them as well. John Ramos has more on the valuable research that could go up in smoke.
The 2017 wine country fires that devastated Napa and Sonoma communities were just the beginning. Every year thereafter seemed to bring another huge wildfire somewhere in the state, sending smoke into the air for the wine grapes to soak up.
2020 is the year that took us down. You know, we lost millions of dollars just personally here at Visa Tui Winery. As the industry goes, we figure it's about a $3.7 billion hit to our industry.
Tom Davies, president of Visa Tui, said they weren't even sure how much the smoke would get into the finished product. They tried correcting it, but they weren't taking any chances of ruining their reputation in the industry.
We dumped millions of dollars of wine.
So the winemakers went to their congressman, Mike Thompson.
We need research on this. You need to help us. So, he won and he secured funds for us. We asked him to do this. And now, with a stroke of a pen, it gets taken away.
That's because the Trump administration, supposedly looking for fraud and waste, terminated the two scientists at UC Davis hired to research the cause and effects of smoke exposure on the multi-billion-dollar wine industry. Dr. Aaron Rombaugh was one of them.
That's how I started working with USDAs, because stakeholders went to Congress and asked for research to be done. And we were gaining momentum. So how I'm feeling is that this is impacting stakeholders greatly. They went and they asked the federal government for assistance in an issue that they were seeing dramatically impacting their crops. And 2.5 years later, my position was removed.
And after earning distinction for her research, the form letter she got terminating her delivered one parting shot.
It did say at the bottom that based on my demonstrated performance, my position in the agency was no longer of public interest.
Erin says she will soon be looking for a new job, probably at a university or in private industry. She says she will not be considering working for the government anytime soon.
It makes absolutely no sense. They cut 2 jobs and we lost $3.7 billion worth of wine and inventory and property due to a wildfire. Wouldn't you want to have those 2 people researching this?
Those who have an interest in climate change know that wildfire and its impacts aren't going away and will continue to threaten the wine industry. For those who aren't interested, it really doesn't matter.
Longtime Senator Mitch McConnell of Kentucky is not going to run for re-election in 2026. The former GOP leader has been a major public figure in Washington, D.C. for decades. He announced his retirement today, which is also his 83rd birthday. In 2023, McConnell became the longest-serving Senate party leader in history. He was elected into the U.S. Senate in 1984. A war of words has erupted between President Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. President Trump claiming Ukraine talked the U.S. into sending $350 billion for the war with Russia. But government data shows that U.S. funding is at about $183 billion, the vast majority appropriated by Congress. On social media, Trump also called Zelensky a dictator without elections. In 2019, Zelensky was elected by a landslide. Now, elections there are suspended because of the war that Russia started. Still ahead at noon and streaming on CBS News Bay Area, she is a guiding light for immigrants starting their American dream.
It's not easy. It's not easy to learn English. It's not easy to learn all the civics questions.
And we're going to meet this Bay Area icon and learn about her impact that is lasting for generations. And join us tonight as we honor the contributions and rich legacy of the Black community right here in the Bay Area. Our special Celebrating Black History Month airs at 7:30 p.m. And you can watch our hour-long version on Saturday at 7 o'clock. Well, if you've ever been through it, the application process to become a U.S. citizen can be complicated and time-consuming. But a longtime volunteer has been helping newcomers in Napa Valley. Our Sharon Chin introduces us to this week's CBS News Bay Area Icon Award winner.
Okay.
Betty LaBastida guides newcomers on their path to the American dream.
You are part of a bigger thing. You're not just volunteering. You're part of this person's life and future and their children's future. Jalisco.
Betty volunteers at free bi-monthly workshops helping dozens of people fill out their applications for U.S. citizenship.
It's okay.
The program, organized by Napa Valley Together, a collaborative that serves the area's immigrant families. Betty is passionate about her work. Though she was born a U.S. citizen, her parents and sisters came from Mexico.
Once they immigrated, my father became a U.S. citizen as soon as he was able. And he knew English and was able to have no problems with it.
But the process was tough for her mother.
She was kind of intimidated by it. It's not easy. It's not easy to learn English. It's not easy to learn all the civics questions. She became our project.
And in the end, her mother became a U.S. citizen along with Betty's sisters. That experience inspired Betty to volunteer.
So for me, it's like a way of giving back.
Convirtió en residente permanente.
For the legal permanent residents who come for help, the forms alone can be daunting, requiring details about family history, travel, employment, and more. Betty also helps folks study for their interview and civics questions in English and urges them not to give up.
A lot of times when applicants will say, oh, I'll never know this, I can't do this, I can't do that, I always tell them my mom's story.
In fact, organizers with the Immigration Institute of the Bay Area say Betty is its longest-serving volunteer who's helped at the citizenship application workshop since they began 13 years ago. North Bay Regional Directing Attorney Madeline Hernandez.
She is extremely invested in the clients, wants to make sure that they feel comfortable.
His father is a citizen, but he...
And volunteers learn a lot from Betty.
They see her empathy and just the way she relates to other clients, and I think it's a really good model for our other volunteers.
For Betty, it's the latest chapter of her life of service. As a family nurse practitioner for the U.S. Department of State, she'd completed missions across the globe. Now retired, she also volunteers leading Napa River Earth Day cleanups and collecting food for the food bank.
When people are successful or appreciative of what you're doing, you want to give more. And I think that's part of why I volunteer. Thank you. Thanks, Maddie.
So for her volunteer work that includes assisting newcomers in the path to U.S. citizenship, this week's CBS News Bay Area Icon Award goes to Betty LaBastida.
Well, free citizenship legal services workshops have helped more than 3,000 applicants over 13 years, and well over 90% of them have ended up becoming U.S. citizens. You can nominate your own community hero for a CBS News Bay Area Icon Award on our website, kpix.com/icon. Back to our first alert weather. Now let's take another live look outside across the city of San Francisco and the Bay you can see there. Meteorologist Jessica Birch.
It's a beautiful day for us as we head into this afternoon with daytime highs topping off in the upper 60s in our inland areas, low 60s along the coast with light winds into this afternoon and heading into the evening hours tonight. Now, as we head into the next couple days, I know yesterday was cool, cloudy, and a little wet for us as we dealt with a cold front sweeping throughout the Bay Area, but we're in for a treat throughout the rest of this afternoon and lasting into the next couple days too. Let me drop the map real fast and show you what we're expecting. Now, we have a warming trend as we head into this weekend, which will get us back into the 70s in our inland areas. The winds still stay breezy into the afternoon hours. At max, we can see wind gusts up to around 15 miles per hour along the shore today, heading into the overnight hours tonight. But here's the next big story for us. High pressure moves in from offshore, and that does two things for us. It not only dries us up, but it warms us up too. Not just here locally, but widespread throughout the state of California and all throughout the West Coast. So you take a look at the next 6 to 10 days. Well, the Climate Prediction Center has issued drier than normal conditions for all of us here locally. So as we take a look at our rainfall totals or the chances thereof, we're not going to see anything as we head into this upcoming week and even into the following week too. Now, as we extend all the way over into our temperatures, we're also going to see a nice little warming trend. The Climate Prediction Center also issues a temperature outlook, and we're seeing it centralized just over Southern California with above normal temperatures in store for them and us here locally too. So let's drop this and show you what that's going to do for us. See those blue skies behind me? We're going to continue to see more of that as we head into next week. We'll see some partly cloudy skies diving driving into the weekend. In the meantime, though, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then in our inland areas, we'll hold on tight to the 70s into next week's forecast and into mid next week, too. We head over into the Bay, areas close to San Francisco and Oakland. Well, we'll see mid 60s today and then upper 60s kind of holding on tight and lingering into early next week. But we also get that midweek warm up, too, with 70s for areas like San Francisco and Oakland as early as next Wednesday. Back to you.
Coming up, 2 Bay Area tech companies facing legal action related to children's activity online. 2 gaming and messaging apps based here in the Bay Area, Roblox and Discord, are being sued for allegedly facilitating the sexual exploitation of children online. A 13-year-old plaintiff from New Jersey claiming he was targeted by a predator on the platforms. The lawsuit alleges San Mateo-based Roblox and San Francisco-based Discords lack safety standards and systematic failures allowed sexual predators and pedophiles to prey on children. We've reached out to Roblox and Discord for a statement and have not yet heard back. Delta Airlines says it is offering $30,000 to passengers in this week's crash at a Toronto airport. All 76 passengers and 4 crew members on board survived, though Delta says at least 21 people were injured when the regional jet crash landed and flipped upside down. A Delta spokesperson says, quote, "This gesture has no strings attached and does not affect rights." Apple unveiling its new budget-friendly smartphone, the iPhone 16e. The new model touts AI features, strong battery power, and comes in black or white. Pricing starts at $599, slightly more than the company's discontinued budget model, the iPhone SE. Coming up, a cult classic comes to the stage. We're going to hear from the cast of Back to the Future, the musical, now playing in San Francisco. We are heading back to the future, at least here in San Francisco. The famous series of films is back, where the characters don't need roads. This time they just need a stage.
Great Scott! This is Dr. Emmett L. Brown, and this is my time machine.
A time machine?
It is Back to the Future, the musical, and you can see it at the Orpheum Theater in San Francisco. This morning on the news, we were joined by the actors who played Marty McFly and Jennifer Parker. Any other twists or surprises that people can expect when seeing this in theaters versus the movie?
Well, I mean, it's very much like the movie. If you love the movie, you're going to love the musical. But there are a few different twists that you might not recognize from the movie, and that's part of the fun of coming to see the musical. There's new songs, there's new scenes, there's new everything. It's really exciting.
It looks so good. You can catch one of the shows through March 9th. Tickets are available right now at BroadwaySF.com. Well, that is it today for the afternoon edition. Remember, we are streaming 24/7 on the free CBS News app. Our next newscast coming up at 5 o'clock.